Welcome to our podcast. Today, my special guest is Nancy Paris, and we were discussing VAST in one of our insiders class. And I asked her, does she have any questions that she would like to ask for a podcast? And she graciously said yes. So, Nancy is here, and she's going to tell you a little bit about herself, so you know who she is. Go ahead, Nancy.
I am a dancer, choreographer, now a writer, thanks to Lady. And I'm going to be an artist. I'm going to paint, thanks to Lady. I'm going to explore all that. So I'm just a person who is in the process of reinventing myself and wanting to understand more of the world around me and the life that I'm living.
Okay, and we're going to discuss VAST mostly through this conversation, which is the space of infinite knowledge and everyone's birthright if they choose to embrace it, but it doesn't have to embrace them. They're the ones that have to rise to it and understand it more. So we are going to talk about that understanding today, right? Most of your questions are about understanding VAST more deeply.
Yeah, because I think that it's so entwined with who I am and what I want to do with the rest of my life.
Okay, great. Well, thank you for listening. This is Nancy Paris and Lady Colleen Heller, and here we go.
So Charles is doing a project about music, and he's one of the people that he wants to include is a New York City songwriter named Willie Nile. And Willie tells this story about, remember when there was that big train accident in India? This was
a long time ago.
Yeah, right? At least probably pre-pandemic, but I'm not positive. And he read a headline in one of the newspapers that said that cell phones were ringing in the pockets of the people who had died in the crash because their relatives were trying to
reach them.
Yeah. So, and it upset him so greatly that he actually wrote a song about it. So, seeing as there's so much creativity that comes down from VAST, but my belief was that you first had to be in a high vibratory state, which I'm not even sure if that's true or not anymore. But he was not he was high emotion, but I don't know if that kind of anger or upsetness is considered a high vibratory state. It's highly charged, but it's not a joyful state. And yet it helped him create this absolutely soul-stirring song, so he did. It was an inspiration, and he just sat down and wrote it. It's like everything came to him and he just wrote it.
So let's just talk about that quickly before we get off that, because this is the subject of you can be in joy to be in the vastest place. No, remember I said vast has no emotion. It doesn't care if you're an axe murderer. It doesn't care if you're Mother Teresa. It doesn't care. It cares that it only is accessible and its level is based on passion.
Okay.
He was passionately angry.
Mm-hmm.
You can be passionately joyful. You can be passionately stabbing someone to death, and you can rise into that field. You will, because the emotion isn't guiding where you go. It's the vibration that is. And this is where the confusion is. But VAST doesn't come to you. You don't go to it. You vibrate to wherever you vibrate to, and it's there waiting. It's not a get to. It's not a come to. It's there for you, depending on where you are. And you're there like this. You don't have to go find it. It's just there. The thing about VAST is it's everywhere right now. It's not someplace that exists in some other field, but it has many existences that we, as a lower vibrating people, don't hit. So the passion of this man writing this song after listening to all those rings and being so enthralled in it and anger passion still would bring him to a place where the voices were waiting for him to write the song. And he just wrote down what he heard. Like he didn't think about it. He just wrote down what he heard and then created from it. That would all be based on the passion of his anger.
So I didn't mean to say that I thought vast was up like heaven. It's not, that it is all around. So this was another question I had. Is vast just, it's a vibratory level, a certain vibratory level.
There's many, right?
There's many.
Yeah.
But is it also considered another dimension?
So if you think of yourself where you are sitting right now, right next to you is the next level of you. That's considered a dimension. That's how people use the word dimension. It's another dimension. It's your here. It's your here. Each one is a field of vibration. It's a field of movement and vibration, and that expands you, right? But that is what everybody commonly calls dimensions.
So that's people say that we are in the third dimension because we have height, we have width, and we have depth. So our physicality is in the third dimension, but we're more than just our physicality. We're our emotional body, our ethereal body, all of that. So that's all existing simultaneously. Okay. Now,
but wait, before you go on, because you're saying things that have all kinds of tentacles that I don't want to miss because they're really good. When you feel who you are, and everyone has to put, I don't know why this is with humanity, but they have to label everything. So to say I'm in the third dimension, how do you know? How do you know, Nancy? When you say that to me, where's your facts? Where's your proof? Why aren't you 2D? Why are you 3D?
Because
can you see 3D of yourself? But you can't.
Yeah, but because you have height, width, and depth.
You don't see, can you see that? When you look in a mirror, can you see that?
You can see your height, you can see your width.
But you can't see your depth. Yes. So you have to search to find these, same with how you are in that existence. You have to search to find it. But we're not, we're 3D. You can see the back of me, you can see the front of me, because that's 3D. Oh, it's 4D, because I can see all around if I twirl in a mirror. Does that make me 4D? So getting rid of those and like saying, I am in a mirror flat. And because you are. You're absolutely flat. If there's a shadow, if you had bright light and you're in a mirror, you're nothing. You look like a photo, right? But when you put shadows on it, like let's use lighting this way or stand this way, all of a sudden you start to fill out. How I see you and how you see me are totally different. Totally different. How I see my butt and you see my butt, totally different. Okay? The same thing with how I see you. And when you watch you walk, you don't know how you're walking. You have no idea. So we're not that aware of this place that we live, this temple that we are living in right now. It gets too much credit. It's holding us. It is a pass through. It is what we're in now, and it's holding us so we can do what we're here to do. But that's basically it. It doesn't matter if it's 1D, 2D, 3D, 4D. What level are we living in? This is all a lot of people touching on vibrations and not understanding them, but not staying there long enough to listen. They're not listening. What are you listening to? And then they try to piece it into this lower vibratory field that we live in, and it doesn't make sense. So they start creating words and ideas, and before you know it, we have this whole language that has no basis. Go ahead.
So, because we're talking about vast, there's the term, the collect, because there's so much. What I find so fascinating about vast is the vast amount of knowledge that is available to us. And as a creative person, I more and more consciously try to tap into that. I think that when I was actively dancing, that a lot of dancers, because what dancers do is they take something that's very cut and dry, which is the actual movement, and they infuse it with something. to make it watchable and fun to do and whatever. So I think you do tap into the emotion that is available in Vast, because at that moment you might not be feeling that because you're dealing with the physicality of dancing. Or when I'm writing, right now what I do before I sit down to write is I ask myself to reach up to a higher level and be open to anything, because if all the intelligences that ever were are contained in Vast, there's got to be a writer up there who wants to help me.
There are many, Nancy.
Yeah, so and the advantage to that I have found anyway is that I never get writer's block. And sometimes I'm writing something and all of a sudden it goes in a totally different direction than I had intended, and I just go with it. And I'm not stubborn about it. I pivot because I feel like that's probably the direction that I should go in. So it's a conscious, what I'm trying to say is that it's a conscious effort on my part to take what's available to me and open myself to being able to use it, as opposed to an unconscious effort when I was performing just to do the best I could with the choreography.
Well, let's talk about the two different things, right? So you're an amazing dancer. You did choreography. When you were actually performing, you didn't say to them, "Okay, by the way, smile now." They're good. No, because the joy of your dance would bring the emotion, and that would raise you to a higher field. And all of a sudden, you're drawing in all this sensation, and it's almost like being in divinity itself, because you feel so incredible. And then when you complete beautifully, and you're so proud of yourself, and you're so happy, that feeling is a unique feeling. But if you put all of them together, many of them, you have Vast. You have Vast. So when you are writing, and I know that when I first met you, none of this was your mindset. Yeah. you have really changed. Yay! And now what you're saying is excellent. There's a few things though. Vast holds every intelligence from everywhere, anywhere that lived or has lived, or a living thing. If your plant is alive, it's already in the communication level. It's already there. That's why some people like me, if I go buy a plant, I know what it needs, because I live there. And you, Nancy, isn't about sitting there. I'm going to start and I want to go to the highest level. No, start laughing, smile, do anything that makes you feel better. Think of those moments of dance. Don't ask to go anywhere, because you are going to go. You just are. And the ability you have now versus what you had when I first met you is totally different, because the words you use, but I'm going to say you're using acceptance. You're accepting what is available because you know it to be true by how many proofs you've had. You've seen it happen for you. All right. And you are living that now. So you don't have to go there. You've already started to accept it on that level. And the fact that you don't have writer's block, come on. And you're allowing yourself to write whatever comes. This is crucial to being in your now reality. That's what I keep teaching. Now is it. There was no there. There's no there. Now every breath you take in between is the vibration to reach. So what do? You make yourself the most joyful, and that whole level will open up. So I suggest you try just doing that and see what you get. See what you write.
Yeah. It's kind of a self-perpetuating thing, because I never sit down and think, oh God, I have to write something now. I always sit down and think, yay, I get to write something now. And, but.
That is so different than when you first started. You were fighting tooth and nail.
When I first started, I didn't know I could write.
Yeah. So. And then as you were rewriting, it was more and more stressful. And it was like, just be, it's okay. And I think it's been years, but you've really, come on, you're nowhere near the person you were 3 or 4 years ago. Not even it's not like there's no relationship, but your past is not dictating your now anymore. That's for you. But other people that I've worked with for long periods of time have regressed back to where I don't want to work that hard. I just want it to happen to me. It's like, that's not how it works. That's not how it works.
Yeah. It's, yeah. And it's also, what you helped me with is blame. Because I put a lot of blame on my body
Yeah.
for the different physical things I was going through, different, ailments. And you said, one of the most important things you said to me was, think about what you've done to your body and think about what it's still doing for you. And, and that it's, I'm paraphrasing, but it's stuck by you through thick and thin, and it's still, delivering. And I thought, oh my God, that's it. I'm not blaming my body. I'm actually going to apologize to my body.
Exactly. That was what I was going to say. I said, it's not apology, but grateful and thankful, and say to it, look what you did for me. I'm so grateful. Okay, I'm not doing that to you anymore. It was hard. You did it for me. Thank you. Now I'm doing this, but I'm so grateful because all that actually gave you those little joy things. Remember saying when you succeed, you get that feeling? And you've had a lot of them. Easy for you to pull up into your emotional body, which stores those kind of feelings. We are storage containers as well. Getting to move through those is not easy, as you know. But when you get those joys that you've had, you can really hit faster than, say, somebody who hasn't really had that many experiences with joy. Yeah. For me, everyone's childhood is different. There's, there's no comparison. It's like, oh, you had it easier, you had it worse. There's no, that's how we decide where blame will go. It's not the truth of anything. There is a feeling from people that I talk to that my life was always so happy and so joyful, and but you can do that, but I can't. I was like, no, no, that's not what my life is like. I got here because I chose to be here. I am choosing joy. I am not saying I don't want to go sit on the street and put a cup out and say, somebody feed me, I'm done. I don't want to do that. I don't choose that, but I can choose that, and I can do that. Knowing that you have that choice to be happy and joyful or to be downtrodden, I choose the other one, but it has nothing to do with how I got to this moment. My past made me stronger. Have to say I gained strength. The other thing I can say without a doubt is that my fearlessness came from my childhood. I am fearless in most situations. I do not crumble. I don't have a problem with confrontation. I don't have a problem saying what I think, as you know. And I don't have a problem telling you what I think, as you know. It's to your highest good or not. I'm still going to tell you. But that took a lot of time in choosing. And you and Charles have been choosing a way to go for a while now, and that's your thing. Sometimes when you choose and it's not easy, the road gets hard, that's like okay, breathe here, let's just go to the park because that is not happening, so we're not hearing. So we need to stop saying through ego, this is the way it should go because, it worked like this 10 years ago. It's not going to work now because you're not the same people and neither is the project the same project. It has a life. It's there. It's like, which field is it on? And how can everybody get on the field? Because that's when it's really going to go. It's how many people. Look at the Broadway show that Hamilton that everyone just went crazy over. I mean, I didn't even know what that was about. But then I had to know because there was so much drive, there's so much lifting, and everybody wanted to know, and it's massive. Okay, if you put that in front of the same people, not the same people, but people 5 years from now, they're not going to respond the same way. Everyone got on that wave and they were going for it, and everything that happened to that is because so many were on the wave. So and that vibratory field exists for anyone who wants to go there and have that kind of success. It does. It's so determined, though. It is so choosing. I'm choosing this, I'm choosing it, but I'm not holding it. like when you said you sit down and you write and it goes another way, you just keep writing. It's the same thing. That's where the field rises on its own way. Let's say it's like a sea. The sea is flat, it's calm. And then a little wave is coming from the back, and it comes and it makes a little curvy wave. You have to be able to float that. If you're still rigid, it's going to slap over your body, the wave. It's not going to take you with it. And you'll sink instead of swim. You'll sink instead of float. That's the idea with success in VAST.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, we do that all the time. Our word for it is pivot. We pivot.
I'm with you. This is the beauty of getting on a vibratory field where you have other people involved in the project or your life, or if you had kids, your kid's having a hard time. You don't go down there and cry with them. You hug him and you smile and you bring that up, because that will help him find what he's missing, where the balance point is. It's anything in life that requires that. That's how you accomplish it, with VAST being the goal. And VAST is not a being, it's a space. Yeah.
Is there an angelic realm?
So this comes back to people having to give things titles. I want to talk about it because I know it's important to you and your sister. Every vibratory level has a sensation. To us, it doesn't own it. It's how we feel towards it. So with that vibration comes a sound and a texture and light and ability and a feeling that you can take with you, because you are lifting. So the angelic realm is really a space of where the vibratory fields are lighter and brighter than the hard earth ones we live in. So it can start very easily get to a higher vibration, because we are so low. Choosing to be higher vibratory and then stopping your mind from going in negativity, which is what Dear Memories is for. Also the breathing techniques and saying, what am I going to think about next? That stops the chatter, and the rise can keep continuing on its own. So when you get to the realm of divinity, it's like going into a space where there's a familiarity of the light, because everyone talks about the angelic realm, it's wings and it's light, right? And no one ever says, oh, it's pink. They don't. So I get that. And the angelic realm, that light realm, is so piercing to our dark realm that we naturally live in. It's staggering. And after you get used to it, it isn't. And then, still there's a brightness, and that's an archangel. Oh, there's brighter than that. Oh, that's whoever. And everyone starts naming things, and the fields don't have names. They're just available for you to reach to help you in your life. All of it's there to help us, because it's like darkness and there's the light at the end of the tunnel. So the angelic realm is what comes in place.
So when people channel, for example, and they have a guide who is their main contact, is that guide somewhere between, definitely not on our murky level, some level heading up to the angelic realm? I mean, where do the guides reside?
So it's not going to be popular, but I'm saying it anyway. There are no beings you're talking to. When we have mediums that say they're talking to the past loved ones, whatever, they're not talking to them. Their subconscious is laying on a line. It's in the vibratory field where all information is. All the knowledge is on a field. And the people that can read like that, and I'm a reader, I can read like that. When you're on that level, everything on it is clear. And you just speak from it. But no one's talking to me. I'm reaching and listening. And sometimes I'll be saying, what was that? Not like I'm talking to somebody. It's like, I'm like, what did I miss? I went off the line and I'm missing something. And then that sometimes helps me go back into the field. It's not a being or a person, but the energy of whatever it came from is who people think they're talking to. But they're just getting the information that was left from that subconscious of that other person. There's a subconscious, the conscious, and superconscious. All of them are on the line that somebody may have passed through. Mm-hmm. To give everyone a title that they're this and that, it actually hinders you.
Because you feel that you need to go to somebody else for an answer rather than
you can do it yourself.
Intuiting it
yourself. And the best news about not using anyone at all, and which is why I stopped, because it's interfering with the path of the person. And I loved helping people, but they rely on it. And it's like, you're not following your own life. I'm interfering, even though I'm trying not to, and I'm trying to help, and I have helped. I'm never going to take back any reading I ever did, because I helped a lot of people. But do they keep repeating the same patterns? Do they keep going around and then asking me? It's like, yeah, what's wrong with this cycle? If I shouldn't be doing that, why should I be helping someone do that as well? Mm-hmm. So you have questions and ideas and thoughts. We talk at Insights. We talk together. Whenever we're talking, we're going to hit, because we're on the same plane. You're with me. We're going up. We're here. We're talking from here. And we can have a conversation about the levels and what's the wisdom that's on them. We can do that. You can do it on your own. And once you get comfortable, you can do it more often on your own, but you don't even think you're doing it. It's just naturally occurring. Mm-hmm. Do I believe in God? I believe in a creator, absolutely. Do I believe in the God you call God? No. No. Do I think that I have to bow down and pray to? No, I don't. I think that when I find myself in struggle for anything, or I feel horrible, I've been taught to go down on my knees and beg. Who's coming? When you beg for something and oh my God, maybe I got it wrong. What do you think is going to happen if you got it wrong? Nothing, because this life isn't real. This is a step in. That life is the real life. And when you go back to it and you see all the beauty that's there and the freedom that we all really love, that feeling that's there. There's nobody wants to go back into the body. Everyone says, well, God is there to protect you. And really? So how do you explain all the children that have brought into this world with disease and die horrible deaths? God did that? Oh, well, you choose your own path. How many ways can we go around not saying there's a God? Because it can't be all good and it can't be all bad, because God can't be both of those things. So he can't be one or the other, so he doesn't exist. Mm-hmm. And it's a he. He is a human concept. Don't tell me that you believe God is a he, male, human. Mm-hmm. But because we use that term, he, we never say she, we never say it or who or they, we are putting that energy on it, and guess what happens to it? It lives in our field. It's not living above us. It's living how we can use it to incorporate the best for ourselves, greedy selves, not universal selves. Yeah. That's the most we're going to talk about God. Okay, go ahead.
All right. So I wanted to, because you were talking about the murky human dimension.
Yeah.
So there's been a lot lately that I've seen, in online and social media, about this truly being the dawning of the age of Aquarius, and that there is going to be a lifting of human consciousness starting. I think, if it wasn't the eclipse, it was the beginning of it, and just a general evolution of humankind, as well as the planet, because the planet also has its own evolutions. So I was just wondering if that's, just what your feelings were about that.
So I have a lot of feelings about people saying things like this. Mm-hmm. First off, where'd you get it from? The first question you should have is, where'd they get that from? Because nowhere. Mm-hmm. Nowhere. However, the first really massive change that happened here in our lifetime, well, maybe the wars that we were really not part of, but the remnants of what those wars did to our families and how we got there is one thing. It's the pandemic. That's when the global change, spiritual change started to happen. That's when the first inkling of rising happened. And all these people started understanding because they were captured and they couldn't have their fake lives. And I'm using the word fake because that's a common word right now. I don't really like it. Let's speak. Their illusionary life was gone. Their bubbles popped.
Mm-hmm.
So now they're listening.
Mm-hmm.
There's no planes in the air.
Mm-hmm.
There's no birds.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing. There's a nothingness. And in the stillness and chaos comes change.
Mm-hmm.
And they could hear,
Mm-hmm.
really listen to hear. And they were more joyful with their families. They were baking. They were more creative. They were crafting. They were doing things to live through it together. And everyone was doing together. So the oneness that we come from, that huge oneness, was all being illuminated by our own desires to join the oneness and get out of this together and be happy. Let's keep the kids happy. We were doing that massively. That's the first time we started with the shift.
Yeah, I also thought, I mean, eclipses have happened forever, but because of the nature of this past eclipse, when there were so many people viewing it and it was captured on media, and this, I mean, I remember seeing on one of the TV channels the reporter just absolutely break down in tears.
Yeah.
You know, and then on top of that, we had the northern lights that have come farther south than, you know, so people in Florida are seeing the northern lights. You live in northern Manitoba, and it's like, yeah, whatever, because you see it all the time. But it's these collective experiences that seem, you know, otherworldly, I think, that are also at least help giving people a common thing to be in awe of together and enjoy together. And so people are rising as well, except for the people who said that, you know, it was you know, like they said, the moon landing never happened. It was done in a TV studio.
You're gonna listen. People said that the eclipse didn't happen either. That somebody was just playing with paper and they videoed it, and all the news stations just copied it. They said that, and the other thing it's just hysterical. The Northern Lights they still can't explain, right? They have ideas, but they don't have real facts about why the Northern Lights are that. They have science saying it's pollution and it's the Earth vibration. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, all that's possible. They're all realms of possibility, and they all should be looked at. But the awe that's striking you, that is your beginning of life. That's bringing you right back to your beginnings. And when that eclipse happened and people were crying and the emotion, imagine you came from a darkened place. That we all were in the light, but we came from a darkened place. When you're born in the womb and you're experiencing light, then all of a sudden you're in the light. That doesn't leave you. And it got ignited when the eclipse happened. And also in the sky itself, all the planets that were arranged, impressing, would be from people's beginning existence. Whatever that planet held energy-wise was present during the eclipse. So there were conjunctions and there were beautiful trines and all these things going on that's not normally happening at the same time. And so we had that along with the eclipse. And then the Northern Lights came. And then, so there's awe in the life of us. It's like when we took our first breath.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, here I know everyone cries. No one goes, gee, it's great to be here. No, they don't. They're like, wow, why'd you take me out of this place? You know, what am I doing here?
Give me my bottle.
Give me back. So I want you to think about NEDs, NDE, near-death experiences, right? Almost every single person that comes back, number one, didn't want to. Mm-hmm. Perfectly happy where I am, thanks. Had no feeling of stress or struggle or any of the emotions that we live by that are, negative. They didn't say, oh, I miss love. No, because they are filled with a joy that's so expansive and so incredible. That must be love, because I don't really know it on the planet. But this must be what the word love means. And honestly, maybe it does. I don't know till I get there. But my opinion of that kind of joy, that expression of joy from listening to these people, which I've only been doing recently, is exactly what I've been telling you. This is exactly what I know. I know. Oh, look, here it is. This guy just did that. Also, the tunnels, which I did that meditation back when, and I was like so excited about it. Oh my God, look, that's it. That's the same thing that a lot of people see. I didn't know that. So it's the proofs are all around. It's just we have to listen. We have to be better listeners.
I just saw somebody, there's a new book out about a man who had a near-death experience. And another thing, going back to what you had said earlier about a childhood, what I find a lot of people saying who've had that experience is that they no longer fear death.
Right.
Because you've faced what you know, arguably is the scariest thing you'll ever face in your lifetime, which is dying, just because you have no memory of that, of ever doing that before. So it's the total unknown to your conscious mind. And once you've like gone into the depths and seen that it's a joyful experience and something, you know, that it's something to look forward to happening again. So you're never afraid of dying again.
No, and the realization they have, every one of them, is this is temporary. This isn't the life. This is the life we're here to live, so we can help raise others up and keep the planet safe and bring as much joy. That's your job. Your job is to stop killing people. Your job is to stop killing the planet. Your job is to stop having people hate each other. Your job is to smile more. Your job is this. That is what our jobs are here. And to learn through the emotions that we're gifted with. Listen, you aren't going to have these emotions again. So live them. And that's the other thing they all talk about. There's just one emotion, and that emotion is love. They think, because they don't know for sure. I call it joy, because we all know joy doesn't have any negative connotations. Love, you can have betrayal with love, grief with love. So if it's joy, that blissful state, they all say the same thing. They didn't think about anything, and they knew, leaving all that behind, whew, finally I'm free. I don't want to go back there. So when people talk about past lives and we relive this, yeah, I'm not a fan of that at all. I don't think someone picked their life. I don't think this past life. None of that has come through for me. I can only speak of for me. All I'm doing with any of this is speaking for how I see it. But believe me, I am not the only one ever and ever will be who has this vision or has this view. Nostradamus had it. Everyone thought he was crazy, but he wasn't crazy. And even Einstein. So Einstein also would live in these realms. He would bring these realms, and he would not understand how he got stuff. He didn't understand how he got numbers. He didn't understand how he knew them. He couldn't explain it, but he did it. And then when they said, "Oh, well, God must have come and spoke to you," he was like, he's a very religious man. He wasn't, he had a religion he believed in. But this is not something God would have done. As far as he was concerned, it was all falderall. And hearing and seeing and psychic people, and all, it's just all crap. I'm not going to believe any of it, because he was so afraid of his ability at the same time. He couldn't breach that. And that's where he ended up. He was trying to contradict his own work, because he couldn't come to a conclusion with there's a balance and it's okay to be who you are. He couldn't get there. So he poo-pooed his own work, which we live by.
I mean, it's like, I've also read that, I guess it depends on the person, but some scientists, when they really do delve into a certain area, they realize that there's no explanation for what they're seeing, and they become very spiritual people. that they know that there's more than just empirical evidence that you can prove in a laboratory, that there's a certain mystery. I mean, I don't even think people really and truly understand how memory works, or how the body is as incredibly intelligent as it is. I mean, when you think about all the things that our body does just to keep us alive, it's utterly amazing.
Without our participation, we're not consciously choosing to have a heartbeat. It just is doing it for us. So it is an amazing, it's an amazing thing that we are gifted with this body.
Yeah. And and then when you see a body that is no longer living, and you can actually, not the features have not really physically changed, I mean, immediately after the transition, but that the being that was in there is gone. There's something different about the carcass.
If you crossed, and I've crossed 3 people. I've been asked to be there for 3 people, and in my lifetime to date. And when you cross them, I can say between them is that there is, when they're crossing, when they're going, they're dying. They're dying. That's why you're there. So you're fine. You're fearless. You're doing what you have to do. And they know they're safe in the hands of you here. They don't know if they're safe where they're going. Their fear gets in the way, right? But as soon as they get to the point where you got to be fearless because there's no turning around, and you finally recognize that, and they know that, there is a calm and a color change. Their auric field changes. And I would say, from my experience and from others that I've talked to, this pink, rosy, youthish kind of glow is happening. And it's almost like, I bet they came in looking like that. And they're going to go out the same way they came in, through the same place, and they're going to go back out and through that pink, beautiful light, and then go. But as they raise, as that aura field raises off them, as they're dying more and more, it turns to yellows, and then you get the body looking gray, and the room looks brighter until boop, and she's just gray. There's no life. It's a lifeless body. Someone will say it's a soulless body or a spiritless body. Call it whatever you like, but you're gone. Your consciousness has gone. Your subconscious, your conscious, and your superconscious went back. But they're fearless. When recently, one of our insiders' sister-in-law was dying, and her brother, which is the insider's husband, went. And when she died, this is the part I love, he didn't even want to go. I was like kind of pushing, you're going to regret this. And he has a job to do. And when he got there, he saw how bad she was. It was way worse than he was told. Really, like, oh my God, she's going to last a day. Really, the whole thin, nothing body. And I said to her, please don't leave the room. Be there. Don't go. Stay. No matter what, stay. And all the other people came in and out anyway. I don't think they got that, or maybe it wasn't relayed. And the only person in the room was him. And what was he doing? Holding her feet. The grounding part of us when we stand, it's our feet. We're grounded to this earth as a conduit from above and below. Our feet are the below, and the rest of us is in the above, right? So when he was holding her feet, and he was like, you can go, you go. And she went. And he was the ground, and she was okay to leave, and she left.
Yeah, a lot of people say that their loved one transitioned when they were given permission to transition.
Yeah, the fear level is the thing. So having them know, I got you, I'm grounding you, it's okay, you're going to be here, I got you. And then them cutting that cord of fear and just, oh, I remember this. But you do that in your regular life. If you think, when you are fearless about something, you just step into it, and the unknown isn't unknown anymore. You've done it, you've been there, you know it. That's that field. that vibratory field. Imagine when you die, the levels and how quickly you go through the fields to get to that higher place.
Mm-hmm. Which kind of sounds like what you were saying before when you're fearless. Because you faced whatever, I don't know, and you've still you've not only survived but you thrived.